In this week's video, I want to speak about a specific fear that has come back around in my life, and that is the energy of finances. Can anyone relate? I'm sure you can. Yeah, this past year has been an interesting journey of how my belief systems and expectations around, you guessed it, money was not yet transmuted, at least to the degree I thought. When I was working with my twin flame teacher back in 2017 until around 2020, I began to address and alchemize a lot of fear-based energy. My limiting beliefs began to shift around the things in my life that I had built blocks around, which energetically aligned me to increased financial abundance, among other things. So large sums of money was continuously flowing toward me in magical ways, I might add. Whatever I needed just showed up. I do want to preface that during that time, I had not changed jobs and had no real backup security to dip into. But all of a sudden, I was living large. I'm so cheesy. But seriously, what was so miraculous was that I had the same income. Before applying the work, I was living in debilitating lack mentality, borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, scarcity, worry, anxiousness, and doubt, which left me in a very dark place. I was hopeless and didn't care if I lived or died, quite frankly, to almost overnight stepping into my higher self as a soul, which gave me the, access to do what I choose to do every day and have the freedom I always wished, for. I was able to provide for my daughter in ways I felt really proud of, which relieved so much tension in our lives. I remember telling my mentor back then during a coaching session that even though my income hadn't changed, it also didn't deplete. It was like my bank account never decreased. It was such a wild experience. But, once I learned and eventually witnessed that money is only energy and how we observe it in our 3D experience is, actually just paper and the meaning we give that paper. It was like, holy shitballs, Batman. Mind blown. Unbelievable. It was a first-hand evidence of the illusion of the Matrix. And as you can imagine, I truly believed I had scaled to the top of my Everest. Finally. Well, obviously I did not, because it all came knocking at my door again. And this time with a humbling reminder that I had deeper work to do. So, if you have YouTubed and Googled yourself into a PhD regarding the laws of attraction, assumption, and vibration, spent many a day meditating, giving thanks, and being present in all which are crucial components to maintaining a Zen lifestyle, by the way. But your most challenging fears keep repeating, as is the spiral of life. Then this next few minutes is going to speak to you like never before. So come on in. Let's do this. Hello, and welcome to my channel. My amazing band of rock stars. I'm IZ-NESS, your soul energy alchemist, spiritual awakening guide, and empowerment coach. And I'm here to help you embrace your IZ-NESS. As 2024 began to unfold, my life fell apart. Everything was a shit show, and my nervous system was seriously dysregulated. I had more issues than Time magazine. I lost a huge portion of my monthly income. My car was past needing to be replaced. Beyond grateful for its, longevity, and, it really owed me nothing. However, everything but the engine was falling apart around me. Yet it purred like a kitten every time I started it. So I held on to not really wanting a car payment or higher insurance as a new business owner with unstable income and blah, 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 blah. Do you notice a pattern here? And do you resonate with it? I'm sure many of you do. It's a reflection of a conditioned, ingrained fear showing up like an old ex. I was living like a pauper again, looking around me and going, oh my Lord, we can't have this. Back to denying myself a life by piecemealing a budget and living small, back to familiar thought patterns, self-talk, and the ever so reliable subconscious reel. And it has bled into the little things. The declined invites and opportunities that may have required, say, an expensive ticket or, an upscale meal or something, I told myself I can't afford right now. The food shopping that had me reacting exactly like my father over the prices. I'd pick up an item and say, $24 for a steak? Are these people smoking crack? And put it back. The broken vacuum that is being held together by makeshift concoctions. There's parts falling off, things tied together, mechanical bullshit. Let's just say I don't vacuum my floors like a normal person. The lengths. It's funny but ridiculous and a glaring sign of the script I continue to write. The thing that keeps money coming in, even if on a smaller scale now, is that I have transmuted enough of my emotional body to permanently, to have permanently raised my vibrational level of consciousness. So allow me to explain. So here are two charts I want to use to show you what I am referring to and what the spiral of life can look like. Now, first is the level of consciousness chart. Okay? Don't mind that number on there. I was just doodling. Now, the chart, this maps out, if you can see on the chart, there's fear. And as you rise, it becomes love. And that's what I'm referring to. This is all here on the left side. What I'm referring to, when we want to transmute our fear-based energy into love energy. All right. And this chart maps out the divided stages of awakening from fear into unconditional love and the dimensions you enter when you begin to occupy each vibrational stage. So, for example, as we incarnate and reside here on Earth, the third dimension, we accept that this is a fear-based realm. On this chart, each level has its own frequency and how we experience it. So, to live here in this realm, we are considered low, vibrating at a low level. All right. These numbers that you see next to everything right here, that is your level, how you are vibrating. Okay. So when you are down in the red zone, you are vibrating in fear. And that is, perfect. That's what we do here. But what we want to accomplish is to now transcend into the higher states of vibration, which also brings us into different dimensions. All right. Now, so like, in other words, when you are operating in fear and you have all of these desire, grief, guilt, you're operating in low vibration, but you are also experiencing, your views on life are very different. Okay. And what happens is that you are experiencing inaction, hyperactivity, happy. And as you can see, you'll start to transcend and that you will start to have a different reality shift. So when we consider ourselves in hell, this is where we are. This is where we sit. Okay. Because everything we experience is already here. There's no other place. There's nothing out there. So our hell and our heaven are what we create. All right. So you do, because of your vibration, you go from hell and then you might be in purgatory. And that's where you're suffering. That's where a lot of mental illnesses reside. And then you become scornful and hateful, and things are disappointing. You're antagonistic, okay? Then as you start to alchemize more, you become in between, where you have, say, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And, I spent many good few years in this space. And that's okay. You experience flow, and that sometimes you're dipping down to judgment, and reaction and stuff like that. So to pan back out, the intention is that as you are alchemizing your energy, you are ascending upward, okay? And rarely, I don't know anyone who's past the I am presence. That is total ascension, and we are not doing that in our lifetime. So, the second picture, let's go right to that, is an example of how we experience it. So I'm just going to lay this down. You don't need to worry about the words that are there. Just look at it, okay? This is how the spiral of life moves. It's not as a timeline, but more like a whirling dervish weaving in and out, up and down. We begin, to function, as you can see the red below, mainly in fear. But as we awaken, we up spiral. However, this does not mean it is going to be a flawless trip. See, you can't go backwards on this journey. It is a path of ascension, forward moving, but it does fluctuate. So now as you ascend, you oscillate within a certain bandwidth, okay? Dipping up and down into different states. So to go back, you go here. So you may be here to start, then you may be here, and you will fluctuate within that bandwidth. Does that make sense? Okay? And and that bandwidth can change, but there's always usually a range. All right. So as the higher you go, you can even dip down low. It doesn't mean the bandwidth is only here, but what it does is there's usually a spatial that you occupy space within a certain bandwidth. All right, which is like a vibration, your vibrational numbers. It's the higher you go, the less you're going. You're not going to ever dip down to the bottom. So what you're going to see is that, as you raise consciousness, you might be dipping a little bit, but you're just always sort of rising up. Okay? You won't achieve full ascension in this lifetime because, we must reside here in this realm. However, the more you can surrender to the flow of what is coming in, the easier the path will be. But you can and will revisit your more deeply embedded core wounds in order to aid you into transforming into your greatest self. Okay? Do you guys see this a little more clearly with the charts? You can find these all over the internet if you would like a closer look. And I get it. It sucks having to deal with the turmoil. That, is an awakening process, but it is purposeful and ultimately serves our highest good. It is meant to crack us open, to shed our illusory selves, our masks, our non-practical ego, in order to reawaken to who we are as a soul, pure consciousness. A journey back to you. So I digress. Back to the story of my fear around money I was asked to deal with and what I labeled as taking a nosedive. Now I am staring straight into the mirror of my relationship with money again. This time, what do I know? I know that my thoughts are creating my reality, and I have allowed them to run amok. So back to observing them, back to calling them out, which brings those thoughts into the light every single time they appear in order to transform into love. I also know that I am not focusing on maintaining present moment awareness, at least as much as you can. I'm fixated on past future identity over a relationship, I might add, that was there to reflect to me the areas that I was still triggered by. Ugh, poopy. Highlighting my anxious attachment style like a fog lamp. Falling out of presence is extremely easy to do, by the way. And it's all we've known most of our lives is to be in the past and the future, for God's sake. But, whatever emotions this is bringing up, it is our responsibility to accept them without judgment and allow them to be there fully, where it is you, all the parts of you that are asking for love. With this knowledge and a come to Jesus moment with myself, I began to untangle the energetic knot I put myself back in. I remembered that I am not this physical body. I remembered that this is not my life, but a circumstance of my life, and that the only life there is can only be found in the present moment, that everything else is an illusion. See, life has no meaning but the meaning we give it. So what are you giving permission to exist? Oh yeah, and that I am a powerful spiritual being just having a human experience. And it was, with intended realignment and focus back onto my inner self and what it was I was feeling, I was only then able to step back into the authentic version of myself I had been ignoring for quite some time. That version that is no longer identified with a less than self-concept. The one who accepted breadcrumbs and felt unworthy to receive, to now making a full and transcending 180. Reclaiming my power, expressing gratitude, attracting abundance. I am unlimited, balanced, and certain. I get to live my purpose, be of service to others, expect amazing things, stand in my truth, and be free. And so can you. So, as you continue to face a fear that keeps circling back around like a pain in the ass, little sibling, give yourself grace and see it as a gift to go inward and look more deeply into what it is trying to communicate to you. Instead of reacting to it in a negative manner, respond to it with inner reflection and pure love. And see it as a lantern illuminating your path. And with consistent, inspired action and divine timing, that fear will continue to cower. Okay, guys, I want you to affirm right now that you are a beautiful, perfect being, created as a whole and complete soul. And stare into your shadow with the love and light you already possess, and witness your magic unfold. Until next time, I thank you so very much. Be well, rock on, and namaste.